Good evening, Oriole Nation. Welcome to the board meeting, April 24th. We'll be with you just in a second as we get everybody in.
Jason said forever, and I'm gonna let us know. Jason,
It was, yeah.
Here, wherever you like.
She said
Yeah, Nate didn't even know there was board meetings.
It'll be a little bit.
I know, right? I wasn't expecting it.
Good, how are you? I guess I'm sitting up on my daughter.
I added more to those. So we added National Society Club.
Sorry, I'm on the first to be involved.
Actually.
Oh.
That is the true. We want to do advanced placement. UAP.
I want to see gold.
I didn't see the room in the last one, so how we're supposed to be.
Yeah, because they come out with
That's what
I just moved it back.
Yeah, a lot of information. And I'm kind of freaking out right now. I think that we're gonna have
Yeah, that works.
Look at the year.
I don't know. Once you go around, I just click it, yep, yes. Yes. It comes up on the screen.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're on, we're live.
All right. The board is already in session. We opened the meeting in open session, went to a closed session, and now we're back into open session. So we're going to start at item G on the agenda, which is the board mission statement and agreements read by Dr. Mino.
So thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is the board mission statement, develop policy that is representative of our community, set goals, and lead our district by collaborating.
Thank you. All right, item H is the consent agenda. We have 5 items. Number 2 is March 20th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes, March 28th, 2023 special board meeting minutes, and the April 11th, 2023 special board minutes, and the treasurer's report. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, and roll call.
Matthew,
Yes.
Yeager,
Yes.
Beckerman,
Yes.
Hack,
Yes.
Kowalski, yes.
All right. Item I, April in school board world is the reorganization meeting of the board. And the first item is to give the oath of office to new or re-elected board members. So Dr. Goldobsky was re-elected, close battle, but she pulled it out in the end. Was it like 18?
I want to know who all wrote in. I was curious about that.
On the right hand side. So if you'd like to stand, and Dr. Mino will give you the oath.
Let's stand too.
Don't make me stand by this.
I'll stand. Okay. So repeat after me. I
I,
state your name.
Vicki Goldobsky,
who have been elected to the office
who have been elected to the office
of school board member,
of school board member,
but have not yet entered upon
but have not yet entered upon
the duties
the
thereof,
duties thereof,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Vicky's just entering upon another 3-year term. All right, item J is the board officer selection process. And just a little background on that. The process used for this is a nomination process. It's not a motion or a second. So nominations only have to be made by one person. And then Matt will start, or Dr. Mino will start by doing the president's office. And then after that, the president takes over and does the rest of the officers. He'll open nominations and then ask 3 times for nominations, starting with the president's office. It goes by a voice vote unless there's 2 or more nominations for the same office, in which we do a paper ballot. And Matt will take care of those if that occurs. So, and then after the nominations close, he'll ask all those in favor signify by saying aye. So, Matt?
All right,
Go ahead.
so I'm gonna start out with opening up for any nomination for position of president.
I'll nominate John Geckerman for the position of president.
I'll second.
But we don't, no problem, but
Sorry.
just a routine thing.
Any other nominations for the president position? All right. Not hearing any. Nominations are closed. At this time, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do a good job. All right. If you want, you're president, also, do you want to take over the other nominations, or should I just finish it here? It's up to you.
Go ahead and finish it, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
All right. So then I will open nominations for the office of vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Steve Hawk.
Okay. Is there any, again, the second time, any nominations for vice president? And then third, are there any other nominations for vice president? All right, hearing none. We'll close nominations for vice president, and all those in favor of Steve Hawk for vice president signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Congratulations. All right, now I'll open the nominations for the office of clerk of the school board. So are there any nominations for clerk?
I'll nominate Vicky Goldowski as clerk.
All right, are there any other nominations for clerk? And then one more time, any nominations for clerk? Hearing none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of Dr. Vicky Goldowski as clerk signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. And then the next and last one is I'll open nominations for the office of treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
I'll nominate Rick Matthew.
Again, any other nominations for treasurer? And then the third time, any other nominations for treasurer? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations for treasurer. and ask that all those in favor of Rick Matthew to be treasurer signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right. Congratulations, Rick, on being treasurer. Later in the meeting, there's certain committee assignments and the president assigns those at that point in the meeting. So we'll move on then. Oh, John, now I'm giving it back to you. So.
All right, well, we're on item K, so we'll do the board members share a moment of pride. So I'll turn it back to you, Steve, if you want to lead us off.
Sure. This month I was a little more active, so I have 3 of them. One thing that I've been asked to do for several years now is to be part of the scholarship committee at Horace Mann, helping to determine the winners of the various scholarships that either are school-based or community-based that they have us handle. And once again, it was just a great experience to read the applications and the personal statements of the kids who applied for the various scholarships, and also the letters of recommendation. It's always neat to hear what other people say about our students as well. So that went very well. I think the committee did a great job, and the announcements will all take place on Senior Honors Night, May 17th at 6 o'clock. So it's always a great event. Not only the scholarships, then there's some school-based athletic awards, but then the highlight of the night is always the final Jim Beyer Award, which has just always been special to me. And you can hear a pin drop in the auditorium when they're going through the background of Jim Beyer and how this came about. So it's the highest honor that we give our student athletes. All right, number 2. I was asked to be a judge of cupcake wars. Mrs. Fox and the culinary arts class. That we'll hear from another member too, who is there soon. And that was just fun. There were 24 cupcakes, and we didn't have to eat all 24. Just took a slice of the different groups and judged. And it was just, again, another thing, seeing Mrs. Fox and how she connects with her students and how meaningful she makes the curriculum for them. And then the third thing, on that same day, I just happened to stop by the Bessie Allen office, and I met with Mr. Gonzalez, and he was meeting with Rachel Behringer, I think, who's the wife of our baseball coach, Brad Behringer, and she has a community project known as the Toy Chest of America. It's based similar to the little library that you see, out and about, where only in this case, people bring and put board games in the chest, and then others can take from it, borrow it, give it back if they want, whatever, bring their things. It was really interesting hearing how they got it started. They go to a lot of rummage sales and either buy some games, or they'll ask if you're going to just turn it into Goodwill. If you don't sell them, call us. We'll come back and pick them up and put them in our chests. And it was a project coordinated with the tech ed department and Mr. McDowell. If you go to Bessie Allen's main entrance up front, the first one is out there, and just beautiful work on the toy chest as well. So that was really cool. So those are my three.
My next?
Sure.
All right, I don't know if I can measure up to that, but I have 2 things. First, I just wanted to congratulate our high school forensic students that made it to the state competition. It's always good to see. Doing such a great job at the state level. Secondly, we've talked about this in the past, but I really like the internship program that we have within our high school, and the many students that participate in that, and how they now sign letters of intent to join certain employers within the internship program. I just think that's it's a great program, and I really like to see that.
Yeah, I thought that internship ceremony was awesome. I had 2 quick things. One, Dave and his crew with the weather and keeping all these fields going for the after-school activities. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and after the meeting, we walked out, and all 3 fields had events going on, and so for him to keep that going is amazing. And then for those who couldn't tell, I was at the cupcake contest as well, with, my wife was a judge as well, and it was pretty amazing. They had a whole theme, and each team had to explain their theme and how they decorated it, and it was quite the process, so it was fun to be part of that.
Yeah, the only additional thing I had the forensics piece and also the signing events. I think that's pretty cool, but, Project Grill's coming up. So I want to say it's like May 19th. So go out and celebrate with that group. That's, I think, probably one of the most unique things that I see us do each and every year. That's, pretty cool, so.
A shout out to the state forensics. That was always near and dear to my heart because I always like to argue, so I loved forensics in that category. But also, I was involved with the junior post prom. And to see our community involvement as far as donations and, those kids, those students had, really truly free food the entire night and lots left over. The amount of prizes that were given out, for the kids that attended, lots of activities to do at the Y Week. So let me back up. We rented the Fond du Lac YMCA. This is the first time they ever held a post-prom event, so they were kind of excited and nervous about the whole thing, but nothing but extremely positive comments about our students and how they behaved and all the activities that were available. So I've heard some feedback that they had a pretty good time. But again, a shout out not only to our students and all the parents that were involved in it and, organizing it all, to, again, our community as a whole and how awesome they are that they support our students and our kids. So it's a great night. It's a long night. I think we got out of school at like 4:30, so it was a long night. But it was good. And our bus drivers.
Did they have cupcakes there? I just want to know.
No, we did not have cupcakes. That would have been awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for sharing, and Steve, I might lean on you a little bit on the next one. I don't have any notes yet is there anything specific that I need?
Yeah, next is the introduction of Spillman Library Poet Laureate, Jeff McAndrews. He's a village resident and on the Spillman Library Board, and he's going to tell us about a new program that they started there. And also, just for noteworthy, he's got the Spillman Library Board president with him to support, Jackie Jerkowski, who is a longtime former school board member here. How many years?
88 told you.
Okay, so welcome back. I don't think you've been here since you left the last meeting.
I showed up once or twice.
Okay, all right, so Jeff, why don't you come up and, just wherever you want to.
You can just sit at the table or you can stand in front of us right here.
Over here?
Put up front.
Okay, here you go, Steve.
Okay.
Well, thanks for having me, Mr. Superintendent, board members, Steve. Good evening, members of the North Fond du Lac School Board. My name is Jeff McAndrew, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the power of poetry, the transformative power of poetry. As a published poet and Spillman's very first poet laureate, I've seen firsthand the impact that poetry can have on individuals and communities. I believe that poetry can help students develop important critical thinking and communication skills, and it can foster empathy, creativity, and a love of language as well. And I'm excited to propose that we incorporate more poetry into the school curriculum, and that we provide opportunities for students to participate in poetry workshops, readings, and other literary events. I believe that this will not only benefit our students, but also our entire community. As poet laureate, I'm committed to promoting the arts and enriching the cultural life of our community as well. I'm eager to work with our dedicated educators in any way to make this a reality for our students. I've seen the transformative power of poetry in my life and the lives of others. I believe that our students deserve the opportunity to experience this as well. And by fostering a love of language and encouraging self-expression, we can help our students become more engaged, perhaps more empathetic, and have more of a positive impact on our community. Thank you for your time and consideration. Just some of the projects that I'm considering here as the first poet laureate in North Fond du Lac. Poetry readings in the community of my work. Open mics for poets of all ages. Perhaps open to speaking to classrooms of students. If anybody wants me to speak, I'd be open, especially on Mondays when I have a day off. Library workshops, and that's to be announced. A collection of poems dedicated to North Fond du Lac's unique history, including the history of the railroad, is something I'm looking at doing. And ongoing projects, I do have a podcast called Poets Have Something to Say. Our last guest was the Wisconsin Poet Laureate, Nick Gulig. And it's a really fun podcast and a unique one, getting a lot of positive comments on it. So I also have a speaking engagement at the Lake Fly Writers Conference in May, speaking with the Oshkosh Poet Laureate on May 6th at the Lake Fly Writers Conference in Oshkosh. So any questions for me? I threw a lot of information out there. Any questions at all on my role?
And how long have you been interested in poetry or enjoyed
Well,
poetry?
it stemmed from actually singer-songwriting. I started playing guitar in my late 40s, and the poetry sort of came from the lyrics, and I started to write more just poetry. And I published my first book of poetry last year, so it's become a positive preoccupation, you could say so. So anyway, I can help students. I'm open to speak to classrooms and such on the power of poetry.
Aiden, have we ever had like an open mic poetry night at the high school or middle school ever before?
Not since I've been here.
Okay, sure. I'm just curious how that could, bring that back into the high school or the middle school and allow, build up some of those. I mean, these guys are amazing at forensics and they have, the pros ability, but I'm just curious about like how we could get some more individuals.
Similar to like the children chili supper, like something like that, where you can get more than one group involved in our school, so the culinary arts, if they can do something like that as well. So
I do know there was a summer school class, but obviously summer school may not be as popular to high school students if they don't have to be there. So I remember taking a poetry class in like elementary school over the summer.
Okay, well, there's several ways I could reach out, and thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Our next agenda item is for the Treffert Way. Come up front and join us with their student representatives.
All right, we have a couple students joining us from Mrs. Weed's class tonight. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, but part of the reason we chose them is we have our upcoming gallery night. Our spring gallery is May 9th from 5:30 to 7. So we would invite all of you to stop by and see projects from all of our students. Grades K through 9 will be on display, artwork, and check out our school. So I turn it over.
All right, my name is Sam, and we're gonna tell you about Italian. My name is Xander. At our teacher lab project time, we've been learning about different cultures of people that live in the United States. We are lucky to have you live in such a diverse country. Our class was divided into teams and we researched about cultures from all over the world. Our group researches Italian cultures. This is our chapter 4 by me, Xander, and Jacob. We found facts and information on animals, holidays, popular food, and places to visit in Italy. We also learned about what life is like popular music and sports. We created an Italian restaurant menu with appetizers, main course, and dessert. Today we'll be sharing the dessert with you. The dessert we chose for tonight is an ice cream cone cannoli. It's made of ice cream cones, ricotta cheese, powdered sugar, vanilla extract, orange rind, chocolate chips, and sprinkles. Enjoy.
I'm okay.
So what were some of the favorite animals that they?
Oh, thank
Well done.
Great. I have a question. You guys, what was your favorite thing that you learned about Italy that would make you maybe want to go there?
The thing that I like about Italy I was like,
All of the groups from Mrs. Weed's class with their countries are researching recipes and will have a food sampling out as part of their food truck that they created too. So at our gallery night, they're all practicing their baking skills as well. I don't know if we have any touch bases, but
I'm sorry if I missed, but when's the gallery night?
May 9th,
May 9th?
Tuesday, May 9th,
And the time?
5:30 to 7.
so how is it?
Okay, very
So you
good.
guys should repeat this recipe.
Very good. Yeah, me too, I know.
Oh, we have 2 extra.
Any other questions? Well, nice work on the presentation. That's not easy, and congratulations on the board as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, parents.
All right. I don't know what you're handing out, but good luck.
Just got a lot of information. I don't have any food.
Yeah. So we'll turn it over to Aiden. And Aiden, so welcome.
So we got 1 full month, 26 days for seniors, not like I'm counting. But that's all we have for the remainder of the year. To say I'm grateful would be, or for this wonderful year we've had would be an understatement. Unlike previous years, we haven't had to worry about an ongoing pandemic, but we're able to enjoy a year filled with tons of festivities. So for our student council report, here's the moment we've been waiting for. I do have a drum roll for you though.
All right.
Sophie, get it. The Horace Mann High School student council officers for the 2023-2024 year are as follows. President, Abraham Mauer. Vice President, Faith Tillman. Secretary, Violet Hughes. Treasurer, Garrett Garcia. As you may have noticed, we don't have a historian position to fill this year. We've recently amended our constitution to allow the duties to go to the council secretary and treasurer. And we're also bringing a spirit chair to the high school. As you may have noticed, I have someone with me for this meeting. This is President-elect Abraham Mauer, and I'm just having him here to help acclimate him for next year's fun. And then as mentioned at our last meeting, our council hosted our first raffle ever, donating all the raised proceeds to the Final Life Humane Society. So in total, we raised $89. We hope to get that number up in the future. Right, Abe?
Absolutely. So similar to our student council elections, each class elects their peers to represent them for the next service year. Each class, except the incoming freshman class, have already elected their new leaders. So class of 2024, the current junior class, has President Faith Tillman and Vice President Abraham Mauer, which me. General members, Makai Ackerman, Landon Hamer, Stephen Roberts, Zachary Seachlog, and Kale Voskel. For the class of 2025, the current sophomore class, President Luis Garcia, Vice President Morgan Fowler, Secretary Nish Patel, and Treasurer Brianna Dobke. Their general members are Elizabeth Schneider, Brisa Hernandez, Jonah Plouts, Ayla Arndt, Kelsey Forsythe, Violet Hughes, and Bradley Keenan. Class of 2026, the current freshman class, President Garrett Garcia, Vice President Lily Roberts, Secretary Adler Meyer, Treasurer Jason Ackerman. Their general members, Cora Foster Rivera, Elliot Clark, Ariana Gomez, Quinn Hughes, and Nora Stefani. As for upcoming events, the class of 2023 has their senior banquet on May 10th. This will go over their time in North Fond du Lac, awards, and have dances. Besides graduation, the last event for seniors will be the awards night, which will take place on May 17th at 6:00 p.m. If you are interested in attending, we would love to have you there.
Moving on to our National Honor Society. On Sunday, April 16th, our NHS chapter held its annual banquet to welcome new members. We had 163 parents, guardians, and students attend the banquet. Of those 163 attendees, 37 were new inductees. We acknowledge our old officers, Lexi McCourt, Jack Stopbacher, Kiana Schroffnagel, and myself, and introduced our new officers for the 2023-24 school year. They are as follows: President Abraham Maurer, Vice President Summer Belanja, Secretary Faith Tillman, Treasurer Ella Getch. In closing, we also recognized our graduating seniors. Moving on to Key Club. Key Club is coming to an end this year, well, is close to an end of the service year. We'll be hosting our annual Kiwanis breakfast on May 1st at 7 a.m. at the high school to bring in our sponsoring Kiwanis Club. At this breakfast, we'll share our end of the year report with our sponsoring Kiwanis Club, and we also elected new officers for the 23-24 school year. The following students have volunteered to be officers: President Madeline Langoff, Vice President Luis Garcia, Secretary Kiana Schroffnagel, and Treasurer Bradley Keenan. Highlights for the end of the year include me attending the Wisconsin Upper Michigan Key Club District Convention, where I received several awards. Moving on to the awards that were won at the district convention. The State Commitment to Excellence Award winners. So members need to have at least 75 or more hours of service through April 2021 to January 2022. So those members that received that award: Kelsey Forsythe, Luis Garcia, and myself. And then our District Service Hour Award, which is 50 hours or more of service. Kelsey Forsythe, Morgan Fowler, Luis Garcia, Kiana Schroffnagel, Kale Voskel, and myself. And then the Exceptional Lieutenant Governor Award, which was awarded once out of 22 members. It goes to me, and I received a medal. It's pretty cool. And then Distinguished Lieutenant Governor, which I also got serving on the state board. So I volunteered to fill a vacancy on the board for the 22-23 year. I cover Division 4, which is the Madison area, and Division 15, which is the Wisconsin Dells area of the State Key Club. I met twice a month with my clubs, either virtually or in person. And then I also helped plan our district convention, chartered 2 new clubs within Division 15, which is the Wisconsin Dells area, and I initiated talks about a builders club in the North Fond du Lac School District. We'll complete our volunteering projects for the year with blanket donations to our Project Linus chapter.
Moving on for some more exciting things is the AP Advanced Placement courses. College Board Application classes, or the AP classes, are courses that students can take to prepare for the advanced placement exams. These classes are designated to challenge students academically and provide them with the necessary knowledge and skills to succeed on the AP exams. North Fond du Lac currently offers 2 AP classes, which is AP Government and AP Psychology. These classes are preparing for their exams in early May, which is actually the AP Government exam is in 1 week exactly on May 1st, and I believe the psych exam is the day following.
So as we close up the report, I mean, the year's close to an end. I still have many things that I need to get done to help acclimate our president and vice president. So next month during our board meeting, I'll be bringing our vice president, Faith Tillman, where we'll discuss the amendments to our constitution for the 2023-24 service year. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, and I was a former Kiwanian, and I understand the Key Club, but is the Builders Club a function of
Yeah.
Kiwanis
So
also?
I think there's 5 branches of the Kiwanis family. Kiwanis being the top of the umbrella. Then there is Action Club, which serves members with disabilities. And there's Circle K, which is the collegiate level Kiwanis. And then it goes down to Key Club, which is high school that we have at our school. Builders Club, which is middle school, and they really are Builders Club because they make their own club through curriculum given by Kiwanis. And then there's K-Kids at the elementary level. So I was working with our activities director and potential advisor to get this rolling for this year, but we're a little late. So hopefully it gets rolling next year, but if not, all we can say is we tried.
I've been working on that for actually quite a few years, and it's kind of ebbed and flowed with the middle school. Because not that they don't want it, but they've had, and I don't know what the name of it is, but some volunteer just activities or groups, so they never kind of came over to the Kiwanis side of it, which, so.
Anything else?
Great job.
Thanks.
Congratulations both of you on state too, forensics, I mean specific with silver, right?
Yep.
And then gold on the, yeah, that's super awesome, nice job, well done. Was that our biggest group going to forensics this year
Yeah,
for state?
I know 3-4 years ago, our forensics team was 2 people. And then it's really grown from there. So it's awesome to see our advisors putting in the hard work for that.
And your advisors, Mrs. Price, I know for sure, is there?
Mrs. Lidery.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Great. Well done.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to the clerk's report, so.
So correspondences, I have none at this time. Donations, we have Backpack Buddies, $50 from Wayne and Janice Shingen and Denise Gation Brooks, $250 from Casey Cares, and $1,000 from All Tools NDT. $500 donation from Van Dyne Lions Club to the North Fond du Lac gun. What does that mean? I'm gonna assume that it's the shooting, trap team,
yeah.
fishing and woodworking, so all 3 of those are the 500. And then $125 from Dale Beck to Oriole Enterprises, and $25,000 donation from National Exchange Bank to Trekker Way Playground. So that's awesome. Awesome stuff.
Well, great, those are,
That's all I have.
yeah, thank you, Vicki. Thank you to everyone that was listed there. It's amazing. We're gonna now open it up to citizens' comments, and Steve, correct me if I don't say it right, but they have to give their address.
Name and address.
Name and address if anyone would like to make a comment. So I'll open it up. It's a light audience, so. All right, we'll close citizens' comments then, and we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, we've got
a slew of things for you all tonight. It's going to be exciting. It's kind of segueing into the referendum. We kind of had a little conversation about playground at Trefford, and people started to donate. And there's some great people from the community who started putting money towards that efforts. But I wanted to show you just an update of some of the interior design and some of those locations. Dave, please help me, out as much as you'd like as we walk through here. But really exciting stuff, and we're getting closer and closer to the project burden of many of these things that we've been putting out there. This is all by Bray Architects and their organization of just sharing kind of what's going on here. Just so everybody knows, these are, again, as we've always pointed out from the beginning, the additions to the middle school. As you can see here, 3 different pods within that area, from renovation of classes throughout that BAMS. We've also got the addition of 6 classrooms in the high school, on the far west side. We have addition to the commons in the high school as well as server area that's going to be put into place. We are also creating an addition to our weight room as well as our wrestling room that's going to be on the second floor area. So a lot of amazing projects that we're fortunate because of our community and sponsoring in the middle school and high school just to start off with here. We really wanted to, keep in concept of school colors. And if you are in the high school or BAMS at all right now, what is the favorite color, or the color that you see a lot of?
Red.
Like a red or maroon, right? And so we're trying to bring back a lot of those, the colors that we have within our brand. And so you'll see a lot of that within the design concept in the next couple slides here. This is in one of the pods, in one of those the areas where they're going to have 6 classrooms that are outside, but the collaboration area is going to be wide open. This is not necessarily the furniture that's going to be used, but you can see more, look at the interior design of the orange, and we get the black and the gray and other things going on within the floor, but there's going to be a nice open space for learning to happen and to work through within that arena. So pretty amazing stuff in that sector. This is one of the classrooms in Bessie Allen. You're going to see a lot of stuff on, different, again, furniture, not really the key point here, but looking at the floor, you can see the orange kind of pops through, very clean look. Cabinetry, desks built into the wall, so we have more space for flexibility within the room. And then, of course, you get your dry erase and, clever touches and a lot of light. One of the biggest things that we're really keen in on, as the research says, the natural light actually increases learning by 20%, which is amazing. Coming from a school where there were no windows, I'm super excited. So this is, we're also putting together a STEAM room in each one of those pods, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So this room will be versatile in many different directions. Again, please do not look at the furniture right now, but it's a wide open space for a lot of those things to happen. STEAM is a nationally renowned concept within education and also transcends into the work area. So very looking forward to that. As you can see, sinks and other things within the back to be able to do different projects. This is a rubber floor, which doesn't, take as much of beating as some of those other floored areas, and is able to take up, spills and other things a lot easier than some others. But this, again, looking at just the design itself, the colors and things within the room itself. I guess we're switching into Horace Mann Cafeteria or Commons area. The extension right now, and you might get another picture here in just a little bit, will go out a little bit to the north, I believe. Am I right? So you'll have a whole area that more table seatings, more other opportunities. It will also provide an area so that people and students can walk through that hallway versus trying to navigate through all the tables and chairs that are going on right there. This is a picture of the server area. So the students will actually walk through there to get their lunches and come out into this area. And I'll talk about the upper deck here in just a second, if we get a picture of that. This is another area of that extension. Really clean look, again, colors, the branding. This is still up for debate of what this will actually look like. I'd love to see and get some ideas generated from students, and it'd be awesome to see maybe some student pictures or some Hall of Fame or something like that would signify and tell a story of who we are as a school. Here's your upper deck, or the second story of the servery. Right now, there's just the rail right there, and then you look over, but this will actually go over the servery. This is also a learning space and place for students and classes to come up and utilize throughout the day.
It'll probably be one of those coveted places, non-lunch hours, because I'm sure you're gonna get a little bit more of the commons noise, but who knows, people might be able to use some of that as well. Again, this is not about the furniture, this is purely about the look of what you're seeing.
One of the huge things in the,
Yeah, go ahead.
in the commons area is if you look at the soundboards, you can see them in the background there, they're not maroon. And also changing some of the tile that's maroon, really trying to get rid of that color. So
Thank you.
So chairs, other things like that it will look more kind of like a little bit of this room, like, you know, is accented.
Gotta tell you, maroon and gray was hot back in 2000, well, 98 when we designed it. But I understand it gets dated.
Yeah, and if you go into any like school in the 90s or the late 90s and do that, you see the same exact colors. If you go to Appleton North High School, it's built in about the same year, all maroon throughout the whole area. And so walking into that, it's a lot like. This is one of the classroom wings of the high school, and there's going to be a collaboration area as well. So they'll have an opportunity for learning. Again, no furniture, but the design on top and how that looks. Obviously, you got water fountains. There are in each of these wings SGI areas or student learning areas, so that if you wanted to step out for small group instruction, that's what SGI stands for. You can go in there if your teacher or whatnot would allow you to do that. It also can fold open to a large conference room as well. So that's just a little bit of a look of that. Here's a classroom, yeah, similar features, but you notice a lot of window in these areas and how that opens up. And then this opens up to the collaboration area space as well. It's a pretty unique design. This is a model or a draft of the weight room of what it will look like potentially, give or take. This existing part is going to be remodeled, flooring is going to be redone. The whole closet that's here, or space right here, will be ripped out, so you have much more space in that zone. And then there's going to be 3 garage doors that could potentially open up and close, but allowing more light into that area for people who are within that fitness center as well. So pretty impressive spot that they've created so far, but still in the works of that. This is a image of the second floor wrestling room. This is what currently kind of exists, and then we're gonna basically pop open to another area over to the west of this and add another large wrestling room in that area, or a room for work. We have to have these the rooms and the dimensions like this. We can't have it wide open because, Dave, you want to talk about that quickly?
So basically, we have to have firewall separations there because we're basically building obviously an addition, but it's considered a new building. So there has to be fire separation there. And with the fire code, you can only have so much opening for so much footage wall. So the 2 overhead doors are real similar to the back of PAC. That overhead door there is a fire door as well. So if we ever did go into a fire situation, they would automatically shut. They don't have to be shut at all during the day. It's just for code reasons. We have fought that and fought that.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
What
Yes.
the upright rectangles are along the walls? Are those padded things, or?
I believe so, like a kind of a matting for the corners for the wrestling rooms themselves.
Okay.
And I don't know if is that the acoustics or just safety or
I
what's
think
the?
it's just safety.
Okay. Great question. So this is a really quick walkthrough. What I didn't mention in here, like Trefford and ELC too. I mean, we're hoping, we can't state it 100% that we're gonna be starting here very soon, but with demolition and other things within the ELC arena, Dave, I don't know if you wanna.
So I'm sure we're gonna find out Wednesday that the packages went out for the two projects. Last week they were hoping. So they'll turn them over, Bray will turn them over to CD Smith. CD Smith will start acquiring bids, and they have been talking to people already. So we're just waiting for documents. So hopefully we can have some solid bids here in the next 2 to 3 weeks and start right after that, so.
The actual stuff on site, buildings, like the demolition parts and,
Yep.
okay. And then is that at Trefford also?
Yes.
Site work at Trefford, and then the tear down and to the new site work at ELC.
Cool.
Yeah, Smith is planning on having the superintendent here, their superintendent on the job, beginning of June, so I'm hoping to get the documents out.
And on it, and from our discussions, and again, this is all just, thoughts right now, but even starting some of the construction at, BAMS and Horace Mann in the fall of next year already. So, yeah, or this year, excuse me, this year, I think, but next school year, fall, yes. Yep.
Nice.
Any questions that you have about any of the space right now? Again, these are just drafts. These are some of the models. These are some of the look at right now, but pretty exciting stuff when you start seeing this all come together a little bit and all the planning that's been put in so far. But yeah, just being able to, check it out from that angle. When we observe it from Bragg brought in, if you know the game Minecraft, the presenter, the interiors is like, I hope no one feels sick while they're doing it. It literally felt like you were walking through the Minecraft. The 3D, you walk in the door and do that. And, but it was pretty amazing how they were able to just like re-articulate the whole building and share that with us. So impressive process, and really grateful for all the work that people have been putting into this. So, any other questions on referendum update? Okay. I'm gonna run into referendum bond investment update, and I'm gonna turn over to Maria Plitzler to help us out with that. So, Maria?
That was a great segue. You guys get to talk about how we're spending it, and I get to talk about.
I get the fun part.
Sure. Yeah, so I met with Josh Barbian. He was here with Baird one night, and our job was to invest the 18.5 million so that we can capitalize on the interest earnings and use that. And Josh did include, there's a document in here at the top that says PMA, and that shows how the funds have been invested so far. So we have about half of it invested in money market because it is earning such a high rate of return right now at 4.85. So, and then the other half is invested, half of that, 25% is in CDs, and the other approximately 25 is in treasuries. And we chose some of the investments that are toward the end of our building process, because we're thinking that the feds will lower interest rates by then. Right now, they're still kind of playing with raising them again. So the money market money should be pretty secure there. But Josh is watching. He's sending bids out yet for more CD rates. But yeah, so far we're looking at about $640, almost $650,000 in interest earnings on the way it's invested right now. So. Yeah.
What are we doing with that?
What are we doing with that? We're not doing anything right now with that. I mean, we know we have it. It's kind of like our it's just a cushion, really. I mean, there's a wish list out there, so it will get spent.
Is it required to be part of the referendum spending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't pull it.
The other good news that Josh had, he was really surprised at the drawdown. He said he's never seen a project go this quickly to be done. It's scheduled now to be done, well in time for the 2024-25 school year. So we shouldn't have any arbitrage issues at all. So we won't have to pay anything back.
Sorry, that arbitrage would affect how much, I mean, is that what this investment money would be used for if we don't hit those numbers?
If we don't hit those numbers, yes, we would have to pay some of that back. Yeah, but he doesn't see a problem at all.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, we just gotta keep them on schedule. Right?
Yeah, the timeline is super aggressive.
Right,
It's,
that's why I was nervous.
Yep.
Losing that arbitrage.
yep, so we're in good shape with that.
That's great.
We have about 2 to 3 meetings a week now, just to keep it going. I mean, we met with Servery today, like Julie from our food service, and just sitting down and having those conversations is great. I mean, just people are really contributing, and it's just a whole group of people trying to make it happen. So
but it's a lot of time to make that aggressive work happen. So really thankful and thankful we're also investing in a way that, you know, we can also make sure that when we need that, we can come back and help out different pockets where we might see that we can't get to right now based on just staying within those, you know, funds fiscally.
And it was really important to us too that we bid out like some of our local banks like Verb and NEBAT, and we actually gave, it's escaping me how much we gave them, but we actually gave NEBAT, we took one of their CDs or invested in one of their CDs. So we have a local bank involved, which is awesome. They were a little bit lower, but not enough. I mean, it was like about a $2,000 difference. So between the next rate and NEBAT.
That's just, you know, good business because of the line of credit they give us every year.
Right.
That, you know, are often used, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with them. And we do a lot of business with them with our loans and yeah, they've been great.
Okay.
Any questions? All right.
We just want to move on to the budget update right away and.
Sure. I updated the budget timeline for you. So the last time you received one was in October during our annual meeting. And I just, if you look at March and April, I just included, we're doing a food service RFP right now, which we're required to do every 5 years. So we're up for that right now. And I had 3 companies today, Aramark, SFE, and Chartwell come through today for a tour. And then between today and tomorrow, I have questions to answer that they've already sent to me. And then we will open up bids in May, mid-May. So that's moving right along, but I wanted you to see that on the timeline. Other than that, budget process is in full swing right now. So we are getting in the last expenditures now from our buildings. And so I'm able to kind of see where we're going to sit with expenditures at the end of the year. Revenues are still coming in. We just got some special ed money. I'm still waiting for high cost special ed, which is a big number, probably close to 200,000, but we don't know where we're going to land yet on that. But it's looking like we're going to be balanced, if not better, at the end of the year, which is awesome. We started out, I believe, at a negative 90-some thousand. So we'll definitely hit that mark and possibly even better. So that's 22, 23. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Just a comment. I think it was this morning I saw that the library funds were released as to what they're going to pay per student, and that's up again, a record high. Maybe if I read it right, $5 more per student.
Yeah, and that's huge. We have to do a census report every year, and it's based on that. So from our 3-year-olds all the way up to our 21-year-olds. So Bonnie helps me with that, and then we'll be able to kind of forecast what we get for next year. But yeah, that's great news. Every bit helps.
Can you just kind of go over what exactly it is? And I can't think of the 2. We had some funds from, not the emergency something, but the 2 that had to do with, I don't know if it's still COVID money or if it's ESSER funds, thank you.
That's COVID, yeah.
So didn't we just get two different something with them?
Yes.
And I can't find it, otherwise I'm sorry, I would like.
We did get 27,000 and it's ARP. That's another kind of branch of the rescue funds.
Okay.
So it's American Rescue Plan money. We received that just last month.
And is that something that we have to spend on anything in particular?
It still falls under the guidelines of our ESSER funds. So it goes into that account and it just,
Both of those?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, it's looking like we're gonna have a little bit of a carryover again next year, somewhere between 130 and 200,000 now that we got this extra 60, or actually an extra 100,000. So we'll be able to use that most likely to continue to subsidize our interventionists. But yeah, next year will definitely be the last year, and we only have until, I believe, 2024 to spend it at the end of next year.
And that's restricted to, stuff that's related to the COVID or the pandemic
Yes,
only, and
yes, we have that plan out there on our website, so anything that's in that plan, it's pretty broad. But yeah, anything that has to do with catching up to kids, so that's where our interventionists fall. Anything that's still related to safety or to cleaning, things like that, that people are still using it for.
okay.
Yep. So that is 2022-23, and I'll continue to update you. I'll send another update next month, as well as I'll do every March or every May, we do a budget update that then I'll publish, and that's been our common practice over the years. So it gives us a better aid projection. DPI uses that then to project our August aid.
Is that where sometimes we need to change money from some accounts to other accounts? Is that what we do in May too? Or we have in the past, I guess.
Just shifting money around?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, you'll see that. I'll give you that document, and it'll show where, if I'm lowering a budget or increasing a budget.
Okay.
So we'll have a better idea at the end of the year. All right, so moving on to 23-24, I've provided some scenarios for you, and these are just scenarios. I've also included some, I've also included the assumptions that I made to build the 23-24 budget. And again, it's just preliminary, so I know it's going to change. We'll be having more conversations about that. But one of the biggest assumptions made is a 4% increase for educators. And that's coming down. There's a study going around the state right now that somebody from the Kettle Moraine district is actually working on, and there's 150 school districts included in this study right now. And he's gathering all the information of what educators are getting, what support staff's getting, what administrators are getting in their increases. Some are already settled. If they have bargaining units, they're definitely either in pre-negotiations or they've negotiated their contracts already. So we have some good data to go by because we want to be competitive with other districts and other companies around us. So we're watching that, and anywhere from 4 to 6% seems to be, or 3 to 6 now, it changed. 3 to 6 seems to be that sweet spot of where increases are. So I'm using 4%, and then I threw in an 8% scenario at the very bottom, just to give you an idea. That's CPI right now. Districts really aren't doing that, but I wanted you to have an idea of what a CPI increase how that would affect our budget. Let's see. We are definitely watching the state. We don't have a whole lot of information yet. There are representatives from districts going and testifying in different cities. We have one more city that superintendents and business managers are going to testify at. They're asking for about $1,500 per student, which I don't know, what do you think, Dr. Mino? That's not gonna happen.
I think there's depends on what part of the state is going to the joint finance, basically summits. And the South, the Waukesha, Milwaukee area, there was a lot of testimony saying, $1,510 for ad per pupil. When meeting with legislators last week.
Is that adding to what we already get?
Correct. added to what we already get.
So what we get now is the 742, is that?
That's correct.
Yes. Then if you go in the middle state, Wisconsin Dells, it wasn't the same, amount brought forward. So there's a lot of different, people saying different things. The bottom line is it's two different things. One, is there a way to increase per pupil somehow? And that was one thought. And then the other is there another way to help fund more of the special ed arena or bucket that we have going out there that will equally come back? The money will flow back one way or the other, depending if it comes from that. We met with legislators 2 weeks ago on Friday. Again, we meet CISA 6. We get a chance to meet with legislators from our community, from our area. There's usually 6 to 7 different legislators that come in from the CISA 6 arena. We sit down, we talk about topics, but this has been the big one for the last, I think, 3 meetings on, just what do we need and where are we at? And again, we've emphasized the importance of, more resource for, keeping our buildings and our staff at, where we should be. And last time around, we heard, some, measure about raising, if it wasn't a per pupil, everybody's going to get this amount, raising the overall average in the state from wherever you were at to $11,000 per pupil, which
On the revenue limit.
on the revenue limit, right?
Right,
So,
right.
and we're at 10.5 or it's around there. So that's 500 per, but again, we don't know. I think it changes every time we have a meeting, to be honest, and it'll be interesting what the Joint Finance Committee does. But we had, I think, 3 or 4 different reps on that committee in our CISA 6 region where we got to talk to. There's going to be an increase. They just don't know how much yet. So positive that way, but we would I don't think we're going to see 1510. I'll just be very honest.
No,
Yeah.
sure we won't see 1510, but, I think we will fall somewhere in one of those scenarios that I've provided, anywhere from 100 to 300, somewhere around there. So, and again, I just kept that 4% constant in there, and I also assumed that support staff would just continue to follow the compensation model that was passed. I assumed a 10% health insurance premium increase, which is something that I work with Important Group on to make sure we're on track there, and we continue to monitor that depending on what our claims are and what how our reserves are holding up.
How does that 10%, I tried to look back, I couldn't find it. How does that relate or compare to what they kind of projected when we went to this whole new process? Is that 10% in line with what we thought it would be every, like an annual increase, or?
The initial talk was we would do 10% for 2 years. So we're in that first year right now, do another 10% to build up our reserves and then be able to back off on that. So right now, yes, we're following, we're holding our own with that 10% right now. I will say there are some really large claims that are coming in that we didn't know about, which is going to happen. So that's why I'm saying, I meet with Horton every month. We have a standing meeting and we go over those claims and the experience and where our reserves are. So we'll keep watching that. And what's really interesting now is we're starting to hit those stop losses, those $75,000 stop losses. And we got our first refund today of $20,000 because 1 or more people hit that stop loss. So that's going to play into it as well.
So we're in the ballpark so far?
We're in the ballpark. Yep. Right now. Yes. Tim from Horton Group says, I'm not panicking. So.
Well, that's good.
So we're good. Yeah.
I'm more worried if you're panicking than I am about Tim.
It's a whole different game. You see these large claims come in, these large bills where before it was happening, but we didn't see it behind the scenes. So it's really been an interesting process, and we're learning a lot, and we're excited. And we're going to have to go back out to bid because Humana is no longer going to do group health insurance. So we are definitely going to have a new carrier. And we're gonna start that process very soon in the summer. So things are just constantly changing. You think you got it down and then something.
I had just a couple of questions on this. So
Sure.
the way I figured it, I just wanted to double check with you is, it seems to me like about every percent of an increase is about 87,500, if I calculated it right. So if I wanted to play around and say, what's 5%, 6%, it looked to me like each percent was around 87.5. Just wanted to see if that sounded.
I honestly, I didn't calculate each percent. Are you talking about just the educators or overall?
4%.
Oh, on the educators?
Yeah.
Okay, I can double check that
Okay.
for
And
you,
then
sure.
the number of students you're using is like 1359 or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then my last thing was more of a discussion, or I guess a clarification for me is, I know we did the support staff, I think in February or something like that.
Mhm.
And my recollection, and I could be wrong, is that kind of brought us up to minimum wage and competitiveness for them as close as we could at that point.
Right.
And so if we're not, like in these scenarios, we're not talking about increasing them. So I think the next increase I guess when would the next increase for them be? And my concern is, having just gotten them to the minimum wage, if we wait 18 months or 2 years to increase them, are we gonna be way behind again like we were?
I'll turn it to you first and then I'll go.
Sure. It isn't to minimum wage. We got them, our minimum is $15 an hour. So it was a significant bump because I think we were down in some cases, $12.50
Yeah.
or I believe $12.50 for our custodians. So, we wanted to get them to at least 15. That seems to be the starting wage around here.
Year one in the district.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, it's competitive. Who knows what's gonna happen in 6, 8, 10 months. The schedule is they would get increases again around, we would start talking about it again in a year, around this time next year. So
they would go 14, 16 months between the last one and the next one? Is that right?
No, I think we look at it like a year from when we looked at it last.
well, are you talking from February
Well,
until?
when did they?
February.
They got it in February.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And the communication that went out by Dr. Mino was this could very likely be, this is your 23-24 increase. We're just giving it to you early.
Right, I know that's what I know we said that, but
Okay.
guess I'm still wondering when their next raise would be. If it was next February, that's one thing. If it's next August, that's another.
We would look at February again and say, where are we at that time? I don't know.
That would change our schedule, which we can do. But normally everybody gets their increases in August or in September.
And I don't know what the numbers, look like, but I'm just concerned when we have somebody wait that long for a raise, especially when we just brought them up to competitive wages, but it's just, we don't have to decide obviously tonight, but it's just something that I was thinking about.
I think it also depends on what we see from the state too, and in the whole scope and sequence of everything, and see what we have at that time too. Not saying that would happen right there, but we just gotta make sure that we're meeting the needs of, the first increase and then checking back in again if we need to do that again. I agree with you. I mean, we got good people like working, Dave and, others, that make this place happen. I mean, I think I told you guys at the time where Appleton came in and was touring this site and they just could not believe how clean it was. I don't know how many times they said that, Dave. I mean, it must have been 3 or 4 times from multiple different people, which says a lot about like our people and the care and the quality that they give and the time that they put into it. Not only inside, but also like you mentioned before, getting our fields ready, there's snow plowing, all those things. we don't realize how lucky we have it too in that area.
Right. I just want to make sure we stay competitive.
Yeah,
With the,
I definitely understand that. One thing to keep in mind is if we increase that group again, we really would have to look at everybody, because then it's kind of a domino effect. You're gonna have to look at everybody.
Which, I mean, that's kind of the plan, is to look at the whole process, right? The whole pay scale kind of thing, right?
The compensation model, yeah.
Right.
I was just gonna add, if, inflation eases a bit, interest rates ease a little bit, that does somewhat positively help with having a longer stretch, but I like the idea too of not going too long. You know, in other words, they got February through July, they got more than what they were probably gonna get if we hadn't done that, but still, it really stretches out quite a while. So,
Yeah, we could definitely look at that possibility.
All right. Any other questions on the review or update? Yeah, thank you so much.
Anytime, just let me know if you have questions. If there's a scenario that you want to see that I haven't shown you, just let me know. I'm happy to present that to you.
So graduation's the next thing on here. We talked about this a little bit last time. I'm gonna honestly table this for another conversation because I'd like to talk to students, junior level, and get some feedback from them, and then also just look at a time, because we put the surveys out there. We got a few people who did the survey release, so there wasn't a ton of like feedback in that area, but I just want to make sure before we move anything on that this is graduation 2024, not this upcoming year. So like to have a few more conversations before we put that back on there. But appreciate us looking into that. I know Steve, you and I had a little bit of conversation about that, but just in terms of days, like and that's where I'm asking the students. I mean, traditionally it's been like, you guys will be done, and then a week later you'll actually graduate. Is that correct?
This year we're done, we're out that Friday, and then we have graduation.
Sunday?
Different.
The next Sunday or that Sunday?
It was changed. Well, it was communicated weirdly, I guess, among the senior class on what was all happening, but we figured it out for now.
Traditionally before this year, what had happened?
It's just how you describe
Yeah,
it.
so the seniors would have gotten out a week before the graduation.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back that week.
To practice.
Practice would be on their last day, which would be that Friday.
Yeah.
And then they'd get out, so they wouldn't have to worry about anything graduation, and then they'd have graduation that next Sunday.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, why there was a week built in? Was there, or it was just, they couldn't get to was there anything that?
So typically, most years, they would get out on Thursday, would be half day, they come in on Friday, and then they would have graduation on Sunday.
Okay.
Memorial Day weekend falls into effect every, however many years it is. So this year, you guys have to come prior to that?
Yeah, for grad practice.
Yeah, and then you graduate, you come just for practice, you're done on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so they
grad
graduate
practice and then we
Friday,
walk.
underclassmen still come until Thursday, half a day, that next week.
yeah, but there's been a string of recent years where that got longer, that gap in there.
Yep.
They wanted to give seniors more time to finish up some of the stuff that they needed to
Before they
do.
could walk, yeah.
And without worrying about classes and tests and stuff, so, and I think last time the Memorial Day weekend effect was brought up, but in my calculations from this year to next year, it's, 1 day less even, that there's a gap in there between, if I did that right, but, it'd be 9 calendar days the way it looks right now to do it on June 2nd rather than pushing it to a Thursday. And I'm not gonna get into the reasons why we've kept it at Sunday. We've talked about that, but I guess my point is if it doesn't really have much of a different effect, then I think we should stick with our tradition, because I think families become aware of the Sunday and that, and plan about, you know, that's gonna be in it. I don't know. To me, it's just a different day than rushing from work to get there on a Thursday night or whatever it might be, but I'm open-minded on it, and we'll see what you guys come up with.
I know from my experience with graduation, I have family in North Carolina. So they're coming for graduation. I don't feel like a lot of families would be able to travel if it's like on a weekday. It's a lot easier on a weekend because they can fly in, fly out.
That can come up also in recent years because of the way families are spread out all over. The nuclear families all in the same town aren't as much of a thing as it used to be, maybe. And then again, it avoids the every year argument about which class parents feel it should be this way and which ones feel it's this way. And then having gone through that, I think Jackie may have been around then.
Changed at all.
too.
Same conversations 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Same ones every year.
That was just a few years ago, we had that discussion again,
Yeah. So, but
because it's a fight and nobody's happy.
I
I said there's,
Yeah,
it's always a fight and
right.
not everybody's happy.
so.
Well, I'd like to have some conversation with the 2024 students and just hear what their feelings are. And I'm curious, like, what are the qualifications to walk? Obviously, you have to be passing your classes, but is there any behavioral things or anything like that you have to be up,
You have to be in good standing.
good standing? Okay.
And you have to have fines and things paid, right? Like
Yeah.
library
Correct.
fines,
Yeah.
Chromebooks turned in and
Yeah.
some of those kind of
Yeah,
things.
so all that has to be taken care of before. I think the fines have to be paid. Yeah, before our last day.
And I know the high school office and principal and staff work very hard at that with the kids who are, you know, in danger there.
Sure.
So that's good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Just want to keep talking about it and hopefully we can get it done before the end of this year. So we have a year out where you know what's going on for the next year, but I appreciate everybody's feedback and input. The next topic we have is citizen comments, and Steve, I'm gonna let you kind of play with this a little bit. Just like, what are we, just having more of a discussion about this as a board and what this could look like or some potential. Obviously, there's no vote or anything on this, but just what this could be.
Yeah, Rick and I have talked about this several times. There seemed to be in the Neola rewrite to me that it changed our policy somewhat from, I got it somewhere, from what it had been under when we had the policies in-house. There's more opportunity for citizens to speak. And I thought that it was narrowed, but I reviewed it again this week or this weekend, and I think I kind of misread it. It just needs what I think now is we just need some clarification. And I can't find my notes, but it does say that there's a citizens can speak. And then there's a second part that says about speaking to agenda items, which we always allowed. If after the board discussed the agenda item, if a person in the audience wanted to make a comment about that. But then it seemed like that was the only thing we could do, and we were having the citizen input, but according to the policy, we shouldn't have allowed anybody to speak to that. And if they did, it would have been only agenda items, but that was already covered below. And I apologize, I'm kind of helter-skelter here. I have it somewhere, but so I think all it really needs is the part on the top of the second page that talks about the citizen input portion just needs to be clarified with the rules of that, so that then down below the rules of if they want to talk to one of the actual agenda items, they can do that too, which would give more ability for a citizen to speak to the board. And then there's all the rules that can't talk about personnel stuff and blah, 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 that we go through. So I think rather than thinking we needed a big rewrite of the whole thing, I think if we clarify that, and why don't I send you my thoughts on that, and then you can get it out to the board.
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't be emailing at each other that, so I'll get that to you first and
Okay.
that in the next few days.
All right.
So,
Any other comments on this? Just, have you guys looked into this at all? I know it came up at the state convention, right? Steve, that they're
yeah,
talking about it?
I sat in, yeah, that was an attorney
Yeah,
presenting, and he focused a lot on First Amendment rights, that people do have the right to speak at the meeting and within the rules and that. So again, we felt that was a little, we weren't kind of allowing that with the way it was written. So if we clarify it, I think we can keep the same policy, just have Neola add the things that we want to make sure that that's all covered then, so.
So still they have to stick to what they can and can't speak about as far as, like you just said.
right. And is there,
Like employees can't talk about work-related concerns or complaints.
And there's a time limit?
Yes,
And
believe
2
it,
minutes?
is it 2
5
minutes?
I think it's 2.
2 or maybe 5,
It was
but,
5.
and
I
then
wanna say
15
it's 2.
total,
Oh.
for the citizen
For the
comment part.
entire.
Yeah, I think it's just 2 minutes for an agenda item. And that's rare that happens, but it should at least be available to the community, so.
And my only other question, and I know it came up just because there's so much controversy in the last few years, as far as like ABSO, right? I'm Vicky Goldatsky, I live at whatever, which I understand partly that they have to be part of the district and we need to know that they are in our district.
Correct.
But at the same time, there is a lot of uneasiness of giving their address out, which was interesting. So I don't know where that stands or even if it's an issue anymore, but I know people are
Yeah.
not.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, but I don't
Yeah,
know
people-
any other way that we can confirm that unless it's somebody we all know and they're not gonna.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree, but I mean, can it be something that's written when they come in? Because for the most part, they know that they're gonna comment, so can it be written? And either I have it or it's, you know what I'm saying,
Actually, I know
versus announcing it.
a lot of districts and a lot of city councils and stuff do have a card or a short form where they put their name and address and the topic that they want to speak to. And then in our case, the president can call on that person.
Sure.
And then you know them ahead of time. So I guess that is a good solution.
I think something like that would work. I don't think we could just say I know
Pop in.
that person.
Yeah.
Because
No,
we're treating
I-
people different.
I
So I
agree.
think the card thing is a good idea.
Yeah.
So just making kind of everybody happy with that.
Mhm. Sure.
okay. So Steve, you want to send some of that to me and then we can
Yes.
move forward on further conversation about how that would look in that policy, so we can update that if we need to.
Okay.
All right, NFDL Charter High School contract. Now, I'm bringing this up because I know you guys just met as well, Tiffany, on this. Was there a name established or did they choose like
They
a?
did vote on a name, am I at liberty to share with you a little bit? I don't know if you wanted to like present on it or not.
Okay, I don't know if they were gonna present on it, but what I'm gonna do for all of you is show you the whole contract. I'll give you that contract even tomorrow. So you can start looking at this. So in May, when we come back, we have to approve the charter. And so we have to look through the charter. If you have questions throughout that time, you can ask me and then I can forward those on to the governance board. But at this point in time, we have to just finalize the charter so we're in good standing and we can get that to DPI as well. But that'll happen in May when we actually do that vote. Our school district will vote for that charter, saying we're good with the charter itself. Questions about that?
Could I ask for you to highlight any changes from the K-8 charter, if there's
Yeah.
things, or is that?
Yeah, there's
different kind of
quite a few little things here and there that I mean, not anything earth shattering to the point where it is, but I would just suggest just look through it and read through it. I think the biggest thing too is like, being at the principal at the high school, next year will also be the principal of the school, but then there'll also be a teacher leader. That teacher leader will also have a lot of like
responsibilities as that, kind of like the director of that charter school. They're not gonna be able to evaluate staff or do anything like that, but they'll do a lot of the, curriculum writing and other things like that have to take place and making sure things are in check and schedule and other things like that. So there's a lot of, roles that teacher leader also play. That's the big difference that you might see a little bit more of within this, but,
Okay, that's fine.
but Tiffany, you probably do you do both, you teach and you do the whole principal role there too, as well as evaluate. That's not gonna be the case where the principal of next year at Horace Mann will also be evaluating and be the principal of the new charter school. Okay,
And would it be appropriate, I know you've done a lot of notice about signups and information sessions, how is the enrollment, is there any information on that, or maybe that's not something we need to know yet?
it's not yet.
I have numbers, I know
Yeah.
numbers, but
We're max like 20 that first year or so. And then we'll have to see once we open that up out of, the process of the lottery of like going through, there will be more than 20 or will be less than 20. And if, that happens, then how do we meet the needs of whoever's within those, within that window too, so.
Okay. Well, absent the numbers, any concern that we won't get enough to make it work? If that's appropriate to ask.
I don't think absent of numbers is the story. It's like finding lead teachers and people who can come in and do this. We're still in the process of trying to find potential candidates to go through that. We went through one, we have one individual who was, really had it together, but won't be able to be with us until I think October because he's serving our country in Africa right now. So like those are, that's like kind of the odd thing, but we're trying to find more, people who would be willing to be part of that. So we're looking for two different educators who will do like part-time teaching and then part-time building, their curricula and putting everything together. So a lot to come with that, but it's hard to find people who want to play in that arena right now. I think they have a couple other leads right now, so we're optimistic and we're gonna make sure we're hitting that, but it's important that those people and others are really committed and make this happen because you've got to have solid staff to get this going. So that'd be the one drawback.
The one, and I don't really think this is a big concern, but just process wise, if we're not gonna get the charter till tomorrow.
Yeah.
We all say, I don't know who's gonna send questions in there, if anybody is, or suggest changes, then is there a deadline we're gonna put on this so that we get the final copy at least a week or more before the next meeting?
The final copy will be tomorrow. They voted on it tonight at the board meeting.
But what if we want changes to it? I mean, not that we do, but.
Then you would have to say that at that meeting, saying we want some additional things at that
I
time.
thought we had to approve it at that meeting, time-wise. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even suggesting that we're gonna make changes. I'm just saying, process-wise,
Right.
this is a little clunky.
Yeah, I think the uniqueness of like how late it was brought forward and then just the working on the contract, it took a little bit more time than thought. And so now it's just, I think, timing.
I guess my suggestion would be, if we get it tomorrow, we say, here's a date you have to have all your questions or concerns in. So that we get if there are any changes, we get at least a week.
And then they can go back and if they have to make those changes, they can, that's fair. Okay.
And not that I anticipate that, but
Yeah.
just process-wise, I think it's the right thing to do.
Got it. All right. I'll find a date in the middle there and then I'll work with the governance board and make sure we can do that as well. Okay. Thank you. I really don't have a lot of other announcements, just a lot of future, board agenda items, panorama, education, staff engagement survey. We'll share that out finally. Valedictorian, salutatorian, scholarship winners are coming up. Music honors, you're going to have a lot in May. We're going to be here. And then just other guidelines and other things that are coming up there as well. A couple other things that I had. Obviously, the contract will be walking through that too. I thought I had one more. Oh, yeah. Team of individuals have been working on facility usage and rentals and things for our facilities. We've always had like certain fees for our facilities usage and rentals and reserving and things like that. And this team kind of came together and collected and said, like, how can we, modify or update to where we were? We looked at, like, I don't know how many other districts, Sarah, Maria, like there's probably 10, 15 at least of comparable sizes who have same, facility uses. And the big thing is like keeping our facilities up to date as best we possibly can, but also maintaining our facilities for public use who are in our community. So we've got people from outside our community wanting to come in and rent our space because they like our spaces. Well, when that happens, how can we basically get the monetary needs to refund and put it back into our building or facilities, or pay our custodians and facilities maintenance to keep those things up as well. So that's kind of the reason and rationale why you have those things within your organization. We'll share something with you the next time so you can see some of that. We'll get it ahead of time too, so you can look at some of those numbers, but we want to make sure we can get that in people's hands. So when they're potentially renting or looking to reserve, they've got that ability to. So future to come with that. Anything else you guys want to say about that one?
No.
Hold, okay. All right. That's all I got from the superintendent's report, which is a lot.
All right. Do you wanna still lead this part, or do you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I think,
Help me out here, all right?
usually
All
what
right, so
happens
we're gonna go through the, what's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but usually with this, what happens is you kind of ask if there's an interest in the different positions.
Okay.
And there's one that's missing here that I think we established a standing policy committee last year that had 2 members, so you should appoint 2 people to that committee then too.
Perfect. All right, well, our first new business item is to appoint board committee members. And it says if needed, Steve, so it's all of these for us?
Yeah, I don't know why it says if needed.
Okay. So the WASB, so looking for, if there's a volunteer for that? They'd like to say.
Yeah, I think I've done it for like 27 straight years now, but if somebody else is interested in it, I'm, more than willing to give them that opportunity, but it's a love-hate thing for me, but, or labor of love would be a better way of putting it.
All right, is there anyone else? Do we go around and say who we vote?
No, you just, the president appoints, so you just say who you pick.
All right, Steve Hawk is then appointed to the WASB for year 28. Congratulations, Steve.
Thanks, I think.
All right, and then we also have the CISA representative. So looking for a volunteer for that.
It's me now, but if somebody else is interested, knock yourself out.
Anyone else?
I think what's it, just one meeting is like they have an annual meeting?
It's one meeting, but I've been hearing Matt talk about, those meetings with legislators. I know some districts that their representative goes those to.
Yeah.
I'd like to be kind of.
Yeah, and honestly, Rick, I was just trying to navigate it myself to see what these were like this year, but next year now I know what it looks like. We can bring up to 2 different people each time. You can come and just check it out and hear and listen, and it's a good learning.
Yeah, we hosted it for a number of years, and so it was easier for board members to go in. It gets pretty interesting. The superintendents aren't shy about telling the legislators what they think, so.
All right, if there's no other interest, Rick Matthew will be for CISA 6. So thank you, Rick. And deputy clerk. Anyone?
Oh, that's typically the superintendent if the clerk isn't available. So we've always that's what we've always done.
There we go.
Right, so Dr. Matt is the appointed deputy clerk, and then we had a standing policy, and you said 2 members, correct, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I was on it last. Yeah.
You and Jerry, okay. So,
Yeah, I'll continue.
anyone else interested is it always 2 or?
Yeah, if you have 3, you got 4.
Yeah, okay.
So.
All right, so, Vicky and Terry will be, for the policy committee. All right, our second agenda item is to discuss and consider administrators' contracts from our closed session. So I'll first open, if there's any questions or feedback before we go to a vote. Oh, okay. So I'll look for someone to call that motion.
If Vicky wants to
I
start.
don't have the front page in front of me if I need to read something specifically.
Stay a little
No.
longer.
Okay, discuss and consider administrative contracts from our closed session.
I'll make the motion to approve them.
Second.
All right. Oh, do I do questions usually after feedback?
Either way.
All right. Any feedback or questions? Before we go and vote.
For what it's worth, and it's not worth much, but just a clarification last month when I was able to vote for the educator contracts because I didn't have a conflict anymore. I actually misspoke because there was a number of years where my wife worked for CISA, so I actually could vote for that, and I did, but so just a clarification.
All right. Roll call?
Matthew,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Jaeger,
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes. And then the final piece is to discuss and consider the loan for the 2023-2024 technology purchase, which was sent in our board documents. So I'll look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And any questions or
Well,
comments?
do you have anything to present on that, Matt, as far as?
I don't know, other than that was in the board packet itself, so.
Okay.
Do you need any information on it?
I don't think so. I think we have. It's what we've been doing for several years
Rotational
now.
program, yeah.
Yep, for 6th and 10th graders and 25 extra for Trevor. So 275 Chromebooks.
Okay. Is there anything else like with servers or things like that or staff? I think we've caught up with staff laptops and things like that.
Yeah, we did that just this past year, so we
Okay.
should be good to go for a while. And these are supposed to last until 2030, according to Dan Sitter, so we just keep rotating.
Please put his name in the agenda minutes.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So in 2 years, we'll be back. You're obsolete.
All right. Any other comments? All right, then we'll vote. Or roll.
Hawk,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Jaeger,
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes. All righty, and then our final agenda item is adjournment, so looking for,
So moved.
Okay.
we'll roll.
Hawk,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Jaeger,
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes. All right, we are adjourned.
Hey, good job tonight. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good night.
Way to stick it out.
Someone's gotta.
You don't know what's happening.